How's it going, wrestling fans? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Wrestle Report, episode 40 with Phil and Don. I am Phil.
I'm Don.
This episode is going to be our Royal Rumble preview show. No matter how bad WWE gets, they cannot ruin the Royal Rumble for me. And believe me, they've tried in the past. The worst I think it's been was maybe 2 years ago when they basically had Brock Lesnar hijack like literally half the Rumble. And I thought they were going to do that all the way through. And I was like, wow, they found a way to ruin the Rumble for me. And then our last, I think Drew McIntyre eliminated him. And then we had like a good remaining 15 entries. But that's as close as they've come. And there is one thing they can do this year that'll totally ruin it for me. I'll get to that in a minute. But Don, what's up, man? How's it going? Are you ready for the Rumble this weekend?
I am ready to rumble, man. I am excited for it. And I want to see some surprises.
Yeah, and we will talk about that. For the men's Rumble, there's 22 slots that we know of. That leaves 8 mystery spots, and I think the women's have 21. So yeah, there's definitely room for some surprises. Speaking of Ready to Rumble, did you ever play that game back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day, bro. Afro Thunder was my man, bro.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a new. This is totally off topic, but this is a good way to get into it. It's made by that company, and it's called like Big Rumble Boxing, and it's with all the characters from the Rocky series. So it's Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. It's a long title, but it's like the same mechanics as Ready to Rumble, but with all the Rocky characters. So you can be Drago and Creed and his dad and Rocky and everybody else. But I picked that up on the Switch last week. It's pretty fun. So it definitely brought me back to the Afro Thunder days on the Dreamcast for sure. So before we get into the Rumble, that will be a bulk of this episode. Let's just catch up on a few things on NXT and AEW. I will mention before that, though, I did try to watch Raw this week because, the Rumble's coming up. I should know what's going on. I got 56 minutes in, and then they had a spelling bee. And I'm like, apparently whenever a spelling bee comes on my wrestling program, I got to change the channel. So, and
it wasn't bad, though. I would say it wasn't bad.
What makes a good spelling bee, though?
That is true.
And then apparently they're going to have a scooter race on Monday. So, be sure to tune in to that. But NXT, I did catch some of last week and a little bit. The street fight from this week was pretty cool, I thought. But I guess let's start in there. I think the two guys they've hinted at, because they were on Raw, is LA Knight and Roderick Strong were backstage at Raw. I did see that before I turned it off. So I think there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be in the Rumble. And that's two guys I'd be pretty happy to see there.
Oh, yeah, man. I believe for sure we're going to have those two guys more likely. And then also, I wouldn't be surprised to see Tommaso and possibly Braun Breaker.
Yeah, Braun would probably be a little bit too soon, but that wouldn't stop them from doing it. I totally agree that it's a possibility. And then obviously for the women's Rumble, I think they need the NXT roster just to make 30. So we're definitely going to get some of those. I did think it was funny when they had LA Knight standing off with the Dirty Dogs or whatever, and they were giving him like the young punk kid treatment. And I'm like, there's a very good chance that Eli Drake is older than either of them, or at least the same age. So I thought that was kind of silly or whatever. Real quick, actually, okay, before we get to the Rumble, we'll also just talk AEW for a minute. There was the TNT Unification Ladder match, which was awesome. I thought yesterday there was like 2 to 3 spots. Everybody knows about the cutter and the crossroads off the top. And Sammy won. Were you surprised about that?
No.
It did make me wonder what was the point of it in the first place, to split the belts. I think we discussed like the interim title thing was because it was Battle of the Belts and you had to have a title match. But even without that, that means they would have had Sammy win it back like 2 weeks later. So like it's almost good. That was going to be a normal match. So at least this is a I'm mirrored, aren't I? That's weird. Let me go back. Sorry about that. This worked out better because that was going to be a regular match, whereas this is at least a ladder match, and we don't have a lot of those in AEW. So that was definitely pretty sweet. And then we had the street fight with Adam Cole, the lights out match between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy, which also led to the debut of Danhausen. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll let you speak your piece on him. I've never seen this guy wrestle. He's very funny in his gimmicks and stuff. He's not somebody that I get. I hope that I will get him now that I'll see him more on my TV. But do you have like Billy, for example? Shout out to Billy, huge fan of Danhausen, and he's not alone. Like this guy's super over in his own way through the Indies. He's kind of he's like cut from the same cloth as Orange Cassidy. But do you have any have you seen him in matches? Have you seen anything about this guy?
Apparently, he doesn't really do matches that much. He's more of just a gimmick guy, from what I'm was told.
Well, I do know he broke his leg, so he hasn't wrestled
Yeah.
at all recently. So I don't know if it could be that, but I think overall, yeah, he doesn't wrestle a whole lot as it is.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no problems with it. I still think that AEW is doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like they're gonna run into that same problem that WWE ran into with having all this talent with little TV time.
Yeah.
And then also like they got some stars that are on Dark and Elevation, which they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah, and who knows? Next week is I think Keith Lee. Basically the whole class that got cut.
Yeah.
Next week, there'll be that 90 days period will be over with.
Yeah, like a lot of people thought Johnny Gargano was going to show up because it was in Cleveland, and he even tweeted like, "I hear you, appreciate it that you guys haven't forgot about me." It was a nice bait and switch though. Like everybody was expecting this. You got a debut. You didn't get the debut that most people thought you'd get. But you mentioned something interesting, and we've talked about it before, but it's a good time for it. One of AEW's problems lately has been like maybe they have too much talent, which sometimes is a good problem to have, but also it's still a problem. It looks like we are finally getting the first class of not releases, but like guys that AEW is not re-signing, like Marco Stunt, Joey Janela, Peter Avalon, Brian Cage seems to be in that group as well. So, a little bit of room is going to get made. I don't think we're not going to release like 30 people here that are no longer on AEW's books. It might be like 10 to 15, but it's a start. So, and AEW has already started the process of like, when a guy's contract expires or they, get rid of them, they're not doing the WWE route of like, they're not announcing it. They're just kind of going to let them quietly go, I guess, which is, it's probably a better business practice to go for, unless it was like I forget what Jimmy Rave did a couple weeks, years ago now at this point, but they came out and said, yeah, Jimmy Rave is no longer with the company. But that was because like he did, I don't remember what it was, but he did something illegal. So they're like, for PR, you got to get it out there. But otherwise, like, you don't need to full on announce like, hey, this guy, we didn't find, like, it's almost worse when you let the contract lapse because you'd have to do a press release like, yeah, we didn't deem this guy or girl good enough to re-sign. So there's no way to put that nicely in a press release, I guess.
Yeah, especially with like this Big Swole situation. Big Swole went out and said everything that she was gone. And then she's talked about the diversity. And then Tony Khan basically buried her, saying that he felt like she wasn't good enough to even restructure the contract.
Well, first he buried her with facts. Like, we have all these, minority people on the show. The fact that the owner of the company is in fact a minority. So like, it's hard to play that at the same time. And then he really ended it with, and you weren't that good in the first place. Like, I don't think that was really necessary, but I'm sure you like poked the bear when you put all this stuff out there. So like, I'm sure Tony, like if he gets interviewed in like a year about this, he'll probably mention like, yeah, I could have left that last sentence out of that tweet, but like, I'm sure he was pissed off. Like he's still a human. Like people look at guys like this as like robots, and Tony's probably the closest thing to a robot because he runs AEW, he runs the Jaguars, and he runs a Premier League team in England. So like, if anyone's a robot, it's Tony, but he's still gonna have emotions. He's still gonna get pissed off sometimes. So like, that's a little bit different, I guess, but it does look like we're getting rid. And some of these guys you barely saw anyway. Like I don't remember the last time Peter Avalon had a match. Like he's been the librarian thing forever, and like Brian Cage is like the only, no offense to those other guys mentioned, but like the only top tier guy that it seems to not have a good time in AEW so far. He's the only guy that seems to have had a bad experience for whatever reason. But I mean, he's a guy that'll land on his feet, so it's not like AEW ruined his career or anything.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see WWE pick him up too.
I would too, and I mean, I don't know how his medical history, let's say, if he's squeaky clean in his past, but I mean, they hired Jinder Mahal back, and like, I'm not a nutritionist, but like, clearly he did something in between the year or two that he was gone. I think it's pretty apparent. But yeah, Brian Cage in WWE on paper could work the same way they've talked about how they would have an interest in like Wardlow. But it's a matter of when they get there, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to change their name to, Cage Breaker or something? Like, what's going to happen after that? So, yeah, the idea of him in WWE, I think, is fine, but it's a matter of, what do you do when he gets there? But yeah, that's really just catching some stuff on AEW. Like I said, this is really the Royal Rumble preview show. And right before we get into previewing the show, I hinted this last week. I'm just going to let you guys know that what we've done in the past several years at my house for the Royal Rumble, it's this little drinking game that we've come up with. You can do this ideally with people, the viewing party, the old school viewing party. Obviously, times are different this day between the pandemic and just the way technology is. You can do this still if you got a group chat of wrestling fans that you hang out with like we do. And it helps that the show's in January, because what you do is you take an old calendar from last year and you cut up the 30 squares off of a page and you put them in a bowl or a hat or whatever, and you randomly draw them. Ideally, you want 10 people for this game, and you have each person get 3 wrestlers, 3 random numbers. That number, when that person, guy or girl, comes out, that's your wrestler for, and you can do 2 drawings if you want, one for the men's and women's Rumble. But those 3 people, as they come out, are your numbers and your wrestlers. And you keep track of how they do their eliminations. When your person, if you're a drinker, when your person gets eliminated, you drink. When your person eliminates someone else, that person drinks, that sort of thing. So it's just a fun thing we've done for the past, I want to say close to 10 years now at my house, both virtually with people and in the house or whatever. If people still have premier live event viewing parties like we do over here. So just something I want to share. I don't think we got that out last year. So feel free to throw that in, a little extra spice in your Rumble preview. So before we get to the Rumble matches, I think we'll end on those. There are 4 regular matches here. Let's start with the probably the easiest one to predict here. Becky Lynch against Doudrop, the formerly, what was she, Viper, right? That was her.
Piper Nevins.
Right. And then apparently, okay, her indie name was Viper, I see here. This scene, I haven't been super caught up with what's going on there, but there's 0 chance that Becky loses this, right? They're not hyping this up as anything.
I wouldn't be surprised if she lost, though.
Yeah.
Like because I think Doudrop was nice. Because I used to watch her shit in over at NXT UK.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually pretty decent. I could see her winning, but then also I could see her losing just because of what I think is going to happen in the women's Royal Rumble match.
Okay, so we'll probably go back on that. I like Doudrop too. She's different, right? There's nobody on the roster comparable to her. She sticks out, and I mean that in a good way. I'm not saying like in a bad way. We don't have Nia Jax anymore. We don't have Awesome Kong. We don't have like someone like that on the roster for WWE anymore. So like if she's going to be that, I don't know if she's still being on the silly side. I think it would benefit her to be a little more of a serious character moving forward, especially if she wins. Like if she wins, it's because she turned it on and really found a way to beat Becky. So it could be a resurgence for her for sure. But I'm just going to go ahead and say I think Becky is going to win this. This next one I tried not to. What's that?
You mean Becky as well?
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if Doudrop won though.
Right. This next one, I've probably thought about this more than I should have because it's easy to get lost in it. The Battle of the Couples, Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. It seems obvious that this is just a good babyface pop or whatever. But the only other time they've done this with Miz and Maurice, they lost to John Cena and
Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella. I forgot which Bella was which for a minute. So do you have the heels win and do you stretch this out to some sort of gimmick match at Mania where they just have the ladies in their corner? I could easily see Edge and Beth just rolling over the Miz, but the Miz has to win 1 out of every 10 feuds to stay relevant, and that punch card's getting pretty close to 10 again since he won the WWE title for 3 minutes. So I don't know. I'm still trying to think this through. I don't know if you have your opinion on this already set.
I see Edge and Beth winning, and then Beth coming back as I would like to see her as a part-timer.
Yeah,
just like Edge, and just coming for the special events and like WrestleMania and SummerSlam and all that stuff. So I mean, I could see them winning, and then Edge moving on to a better feud. Give me Edge and AJ Styles, man, at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
give me that.
I assume Beth Phoenix is in the Rumble, right? I don't know if that's been straight up said. I got the roster here. No, she's not lit. That doesn't mean she's not, but she's not listed in the Rumble. So who knows? She could. I guess it depends if they blow through them and win. Like I could see her pulling double duty. But you're probably right. I'm probably overthinking it, but I'll just for the sake of seeing how we do, I'll pick the Miz and Maurice in this because, like I said, Miz wins just enough to stay relevant. And this could be one of those. Because Edge and Miz had a match that Edge won straight up already, right?
Yeah, dude.
So this doesn't change that the course of the feud or whatever. Next we have the 2 championship matches. We'll do Roman Reigns and Seth freaking Rollins, which I'm still not a fan that's his official name now. The Usos are barred from ringside, which I do like that. It does, we don't need that for this match. This sells itself with the the story between these two guys. They debuted 10 years ago together. Did you know the Shield broke up 8 years ago already? It's been 8 years since the Shield broke up. That is crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy because that's when I actually bought the WWE Network. That's when I first got it.
Okay, after that happened.
It was that weekend. I remember that.
Nice. There's a version of this that Seth wins, obviously. Obviously it could go either way. I do think Roman wins, and I'm not convinced yet that we're not still somehow getting some sort of unification or Lesnar and Reigns at Mania. So I'm thinking I'm going to go Roman here still.
Yeah, I can see. Actually, you know what? Give me Seth.
Okay.
Give me Seth. Because this is how I see it. This is what I see going happening. Seth is gonna drop Roman's gonna drop the belt to Seth. Seth is going to go to Raw with the Universal Championship, and then they're gonna bring Brock Lesnar to SmackDown, and then Roman Reigns is gonna win the Elimination Chamber at Saudi Arabia next month.
That's in Saudi?
Yeah.
Oh shit, man. Did you hear the rumor that they want to change the name of the show to like WrestleMania Chamber? Like they copyrighted that phrase, I guess.
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting if they do that.
Unless you're gonna have like an Elimination Chamber at WrestleMania, I think it's stupid.
I mean, it's the same thing as WrestleMania Backlash. There was no need for that either, but they did it,
Yeah.
So we kind of kicked this down the can a little bit, but Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, I have this weird I don't know how it fits in future plans, but like what future plans do they really have in this company anymore? I'm going to pick Bobby Lashley just because if not now, when? Like when Brock beat Taker, it's like, oh, then whoever beats Lesnar is a made man. Like and like people have beaten Lesnar along the way, McIntyre, Rollins and stuff, but like this is like one of those organic 10 years in the making things that almost happened on accident just because they didn't bother to put these guys in the same match until now. So I'm gonna go with Lashley on this.
Yeah. I'll go Lashley. I'll go Brock with this one. But if it was like I could see one or two ways happening. This happening. I could see Bobby winning. Brock enters the Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then or Roman and Roman wins against Seth. Or Seth wins and Roman wins the Royal Rumble.
Basically, one of them drops a belt, and that's who wins the Rumble, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I could see that. I could definitely see them doing that. And that's definitely, that kind of leads me to my next question, at least for the men's Rumble. I think for the women's Rumble, this is pretty obvious, but we have 22 people announced for the Rumble so far out of 30. So there's 8 open spots. Really, there's 21 because there's like call me crazy, I don't think Johnny Knoxville is winning the Rumble. So really, there's 21 superstars in there. Do you think? And I'll just run them down just really fast. So we have Street Profits, that's 2. We have the Mysterios, that's 2. Austin Theory, Sheamus, Damian Priest, AJ Styles, Big E, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, Omos, Randy Orton, Riddle, Chad Gable, Otis, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. That's the 21 signed WWE wrestlers in this match. Do you think I just said the name of the guy who wins? Or do you think it's someone that we don't know yet?
Yeah, I believe it's someone that we don't know yet.
So is it because you think it's one of the guys that go in as champion, or you think it could be somebody completely, like, if it can't be them, do you think it's somebody in this match? If you had to pick someone from here, who would you pick?
If I were to pick from the 22 or the 21, between AJ Styles and Big E.
AJ would be nice because, like, I think his career's, in WWE is way more behind him than in front of him, and it'd be a nice accolade for him. I'd also like to see like a Kevin Owens win. I mean, he's kind of had his run-ins with both of these champions already, so I don't know that they would go that route, but like, I'd be psyched for it,
I'll be okay with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins wins, and then Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and it's just worth mentioning. We talked about this before. They are in St. Louis. That's the hometown of Randy Orton. You can never really count him out. They just lost the tag titles. That frees him up a little bit. So. He's in it. Yeah, he's listed. The okay, bro, are both in here.
Yeah, he'll be my third choice.
True. I am interested to see. I don't know if you listen to the Barstool Wrestling podcast or whatever, but they had Rey Mysterio on there, and he was joking like, if Dominic eliminates me, I'll take away his car and you'll have to Uber everywhere for a while or whatever. I'm interested to see their interaction in the Royal Rumble, for sure.
Yeah, I will. There's a lot of interactions that I'm looking forward to. Like I want to see these tag teams like Street Profits and the Mysterios and how Dolph and the Dirty Dogs handle it together, and I want to see that.
Yeah, okay. And my absolute dark horse in this, just because of his relationship with the boss lately, don't sleep on Austin Theory. Just because they seem to love, and he's great. Don't get me wrong, but the upper guys seem to love him. So you never know there. Here's my ridiculous theory too that I got to throw out there. Happy Corbin gets eliminated, right?
Okay.
He gets eliminated, and then he comes back later as Sad Corbin, and then he like, I'm not saying he wins, but he like, it's like a Mick Foley thing. He goes from Happy Corbin to Sad Corbin. That would be something funny.
But the thing is, does he stay as Sad Corbin for the rest of his gimmick? Does Happy Corbin just disappear?
Maybe like they'd have to do something where like he bet all his money on like him and Madcap to win, and they don't, so he's poor again or something. Like maybe, I don't know. What do you think is the Johnny Knoxville thing here? Who does he interact with?
Oh, he's Sami Zayn, bro.
Is it Sami? Okay. Do you think he probably eliminates Sami Zayn?
Yeah.
And then who do you think eliminates him?
He's gonna eliminate Sami Zayn, and then Kevin Owens is gonna eliminate him.
I hope he gets like an RKO. He eats something like that. And you know who this spot should really be David Arquette.
Yeah,
it really should. Right. Like all the stuff you did, but with David Arquette. Like you know how much like people would actually care at that moment.
Apparently, there was someone said that they've been trying to lobby for him to get into WWE for the Royal Rumble for some time now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be.
RJ City said that.
Yeah, they're boys for sure. So he had a lot to do with that documentary that we watched, last year. He had a lot to do with that getting put together and everything. I'd love to see that for sure. So I'll go with Orton's and Austin Theory is a dark horse. If I'm picking just who I think could win or should win, I'll go Kevin Owens. We kind of talked last episode on who we want some of the surprises to be. Obviously, Cody lost the TNT title. Not that would have affected him from popping up in the Rumble. Apparently, he still has no contract. That seems to be. I'm not saying that like they don't have one ready, and I'm not saying they're straight up lying, but like there's probably a hair of truth to this. Like maybe at this exact moment, he doesn't have a contract. Doesn't mean he's not going to get one. You know.
Yeah.
What do you think is the chance of any for like what? How far does the forbidden door go here for there's the crazy rumor that like Okada wants to be there. I doubt like if he was going to be in, he'd be in the States already because he's got to be here for 2 weeks or whatever coming from Japan. Yeah. So I think we would know some form of that. But like, how forbidden does this door get in the Rumble, if at all?
I think more than likely just Impact and whoever was released that's not on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyone else on that's in AEW is not going to be there.
Yeah. I do hope we get the Hurricane again. That one would be cool for me. But
I'll hope for that.
Yeah. There always needs to be one or two like funny ones, in my opinion. And we kind of touched on this with the Women's Rumble. There's 9 possible entries, and of course there could be a Beth Phoenix and stuff. We do have the Bellas. We have Lita. We have SmackDown legend Summer Rae, which was an interesting way to go about that. Who do you have as the winner for this?
Someone that you didn't name.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey.
You think she just comes? She comes back and wins.
I think she comes back, number 30, and she wins.
That's a safe bet, really. I bet if you looked at like the Vegas odds, hers is up there as high as anybody right now. If you had to pick somebody in the match,
that's in it right now. Out of the 21 people. Mm-hmm. I think they teased it. Lita winning.
That would be cool, honestly. I mean, if they had the Women's Rumble back in the day, Lita would have won at least one back in the day. Right? Same with Trish Stratus and stuff, which Trish isn't in this one, right?
She's not in it. Yeah, I ain't see her in it.
Yeah, which is weird because she was in the first one, right? Maybe the second one. She was in
the first and second one.
Yeah.
Now, see, also a dark horse is Bayley. I think Bayley's going to show up. Bayley or even Asuka.
I agree. Both of those could happen. I do think Mickie James is going to be in like the final 4. Mm-hmm. That definitely needs to happen. Otherwise, it's like not worth her. Like I could see they're having her for like 30 seconds, but like you might as well make this worth it. Like it was a big buzz thing. You might as well roll that. She needs to be in the final 4, if not the final 2. I think the final 2 would actually make a lot of sense too. Rhea Ripley has an outside shot, but I feel like we've kind of been there and done that with her. Maybe Nikki ASH, if they like, I think they're kind of done with her too. I look at this list and like a lot of these women that didn't win the title, like Liv Morgan and like Bianca did win the title, but like they feel like they've had their shot. They're never going to get it again. My dark horse is always Natalya because there's no version of this that doesn't make sense with her. She's like the veteran of that locker room that hasn't gone anywhere or whatever. So she would be my dark horse. Ronda Rousey's probably the choice. They could really zig and do like Carmella or something, but I don't think she's not even as over as she used to be.
I think another person that I could see winning is Naomi.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I can see Naomi, and I'll be happy for Naomi too. Mm-hmm. I would not be upset if Naomi won. But you also got to think about Charlotte because Charlotte is in the match too.
Right, and normally she's the champion, so she hasn't really been in Rumbles much. So that is a possibility too. If you had to put $10 on yes or no, do you think Mickie James wears the Impact title when she comes out? Would you bet yes or no?
I'll bet yes.
I think so too, because like, yeah, I just that just makes sense. If you're gonna do this, go all the way with it. That either makes me think she's gonna come out at 1 or 2. Also, that way she gets that. Otherwise, she's like running to the ring with it on, and you barely see the belt or whatever. So she or like early on where like the entrances kind of can take a little bit longer. I think either way, when she comes out, if she has the belt, take your sweet time, let that be seen or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that is the Rumble. I'm definitely looking forward to. I don't think we touched on this yet. It's on a Saturday this year, so I would have killed for that as a kid because you always had to wake up for school. Like I'm glad it's on a Saturday now. I'm looking forward to more people come over because they don't work in the morning or whatever. But yeah, I guess they moved this because of a UFC event or something like that. They wanted to get out of the way of something.
I've heard that Nick Khan sound like he wants to push more Saturday pay-per-views, which I'm all for.
Me too, 100%. And really, I should have thought of this. It probably has something to do with the conference championship games too. Like you don't want to be up against. I don't even know which one's the late game, but you don't want to be up against
the San Fran versus the Rams.
Yeah, so you don't want to be up against that. So that makes sense. So good on them for doing that. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Before we get out of here, we talked a little about the Mysterios earlier, and we do a little bit of wrestling gaming talk on this show. It came out officially. We kind of knew this. It was like a poorly kept secret, but Rey Mysterio is officially on the cover for WWE 2K22. And for those that are, in the wrestling scene for video games, we had WWE 2K19 with AJ Styles on the cover, which was a very good game, a game I still play from time to time. And then we had 2K20, which was absolutely terrible, borderline unplayable, right? It was so bad that they didn't even have a 2K21, right? They skipped an entire year. They've revamped the entire thing. This game comes out in like 2 months or so. I think it's March 11th, something like that week. And because there's like a way to get it early and all that stuff. And we're starting to get more and more info on the game. They are bringing back general manager mode, which is something that people have wanted for a long time. And you can do it online co-op. So that might be something that me and Don do for the channel. I just wanted to bring it up. I'm definitely going to give this, like I said, I still play 19 every once in a while. It's still a fun game and everything. Are you going to pick this up sooner than later? Like how do you feel on the whole thing?
I am going to pick it up as soon as it drops.
Yeah.
I love, even if it's terrible, I'm still going to play. I'm still going to go out my way and get it. Just because I am a fan of WWE wrestling games, dating back all the way to fucking No Mercy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't care if the game is trash. I'm still gonna fucking buy it and fucking play it.
Well, so did you buy 20?
Yes.
And like, was it as bad as everybody said? Because I steered clear after a while.
It was bad. It was bad. I mean, it was still playable, but like the glitches were terrible. But it's like you got glitches in every game.
Yeah. Well, after like a bunch of updates, it got decent, right? Is that what ended up happening?
It got decent after a while, but it just they had to get the bugs out.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Once that game comes out, we'll definitely have to do some online stuff for the channel, and like maybe we can get a cool little GM mode thing going. That would be pretty sweet too. Obviously, we'll know. I learned about that too. Like GM mode was one thing, and then when I saw you could do it online with a friend, I'm like, oh, that opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
The special edition is like an NWO version with NWO on the cover. And while I want all the extra stuff, I think I want the one with Rey Mysterio on the cover because and the what's it called? The showcase mode is all about Rey Mysterio's career, which I'm very much looking forward to. I remember the first time they really did one of those was 2K16 with Steve Austin's. They did it, I think in 14 they did it with Daniel Bryan, which was cool. The Austin one's cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to like as great as Austin was, his really peak of his career, his WWF career, it was only about 7, 8, 9 years. Where if Rey Mysterio, you're probably going to go back to like WCW, and like he's got a true like 20-year career to play through. So very much looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
So good stuff for that. That's March 11th. So hopefully we do something with that sooner than later when the game comes out for sure. Luckily we both have PS4. That's the worst when like you want to play games with your buddies and they have, the other console and everything. Yeah, so luckily we're both PlayStation guys. So that makes that a little bit easier. But that's about it for us, guys. Enjoy the Rumble on Saturday and just be happy that it's not on Sunday this year. And we will see you guys next time. Enjoy the Rumble.